You asked, let's talk about it. So, before going into each one of these roles, let's talk about how dysfunctional family systems can sometimes seem to function, especially to people that aren't within the system and that don't see the nitty gritty, some of the things that happen behind closed doors. They can often function almost like a gang or a cult where there is this code of secrecy. You're not supposed to speak out against anything that's happening, and you're often blamed, shamed, and ostracized if you decide to leave. And that is where sometimes one person starting individual therapy can kind of disrupt this entire system. That is my goal, to help it become healthier, but there have been times when people have become more rigid. So let me know which one you want for me to start with. Before I get into the most requested family role, let me just say that within a healthy family, there are also roles, but they are flexible. Within a dysfunctional family system, these roles can be a little rigid. The scapegoat, troublemaker, or black sheep of the family is typically the one that the family feels ashamed of, and they're really the most honest one in the family. They act out a lot of the tension, anger, or other emotions that other people in the family might ignore. This can provide a distraction from the real issues because they're focusing on their behavior and not maybe the parents' dysfunctional relationship. But now everybody's focusing on the kid and we're ignoring the real problem. These behaviors can go into other environments like school, and they carry the weight of the family while being the most emotionally sensitive, often leading to low self-esteem, self-hatred, possibly self-destruction. All right, let's talk about the hero, responsible child, or golden child. This is the parentified child. Sometimes they're the ones that are described as 9 going on 40. And the parents can sometimes relate to them as though they're peers at times, and then as a child at times, which can be confusing for them. They often get along better with adults than peers, and their whole purpose in this system is to say, how can I be doing anything wrong as a parent? Because look at this child. This is also the child that everyone else in the family is compared to. As an adult, this individual often struggles with making mistakes and really tie their worth and value to what they do and what they can offer to others. Because within that dysfunctional system, their worth and value was based on what they could give to the system. And they saw how others were treated that couldn't give the same things. I hope this helps. Let's talk about the lost one, the quiet one, the dreamer. And let's remember that within a dysfunctional family, each one of these roles has a specific purpose. So with all the positive attention the golden child or the hero gets and all the negative attention that the scapegoat gets, it makes sense that there's a child that kind of makes themselves small, that doesn't really want to be seen, that avoids problems, avoids talking about things. Parents might even say that they almost forget they have this other child, which is extremely painful and goes into what this child experiences on the inside. In my opinion, we were made to connect. And this child is extremely disconnected from their family, but that is how they survive their system. They struggle to trust that other people will meet their needs and will be there for them and really have a fierce independence. All right, so let's talk about the enabler, rescuer, protector, or caregiver. The purpose of this role is to shield the family from the effects of the problematic parent. And this role can be filled by a child or a parent. The big difference between the hero and the enabler is the hero is seen as this golden child that can do no wrong, and the enabler is the one kind of doing a lot of the dirty work. This is very common in families where there's a parent that's abusing substances or that has significant mental health issues that are going untreated, and they feel it is their role to keep the family going. This person often maintains the status quo, which is dysfunctional, and kind of keeps everyone in their roles with this lack of boundaries. They try to come in and rescue and fix everything. And they also want to shield the family and shield that problem parent from the consequences of their behavior. Within a dysfunctional family system, there is a role called the mascot or the family clown. This is the family member that uses humor to deflect or distract during times of crisis or tension. Many comedians played this role within their families. This child often feels powerless in the midst of conflict and just wants it to go away And so they use what they have, their humor, to distract everyone in the middle of it. And they do make everyone feel better. They may also use humor to express unmet needs or suppressed emotions. The interesting thing about this role is it doesn't actually repair. What it does is it just kind of temporarily covers whatever's going on. They often become anxious or depressed if things aren't constantly going. So all the family roles are up. I hope this was helpful. I just wanted to hold space for this comment because being an adoptee within a family system, that adds an extra dynamic. I wanted to highlight these 7 core issues in adoption that adoptees can experience. And this is across the lifetime. This isn't only in childhood. The adoptees that I work with, I let them know like, hey, I'm going to be around for a while. Feel free to come and go as you need to, because we might work through some things and then you might come back later. Because within families, often adoptees are told that they need to be grateful. They're gaslit for their experiences and their feelings may be minimized. And their whole role within a family might have been to fill the parents' needs. So it's really important to center the voices of adoptees. Tips to break dysfunctional family patterns. We want to avoid emotional parentification. Parentification is when parents rely on children to fulfill their emotional voids and needs. And so instead, as a parent, I want to make sure that I'm getting my needs met in healthy ways. Avoiding parental projection. Projection is the process in which parents work out their own fears, insecurities, unresolved attachment, and unlived lives on their children. So this is where I allow my child to be them, become their own person. I don't work out my own stuff through them. Avoiding emotional offloading. And that is where parents kind of emotionally dump on their kids or blame their kids for stuff that's within their own lives. And this is where parents want to listen and support their kids and manage their emotions using their own skill. Have good boundaries, avoid enmeshment. Comments like this is why I shifted from working mostly with kids and teens to working with adults. I think the most important thing is giving kids space to make mistakes, helping them know and understand that they are heard, loved, and seen no matter what. I can separate what someone does from who they are. Avoiding parenting techniques like yelling, screaming, hitting, any of those punitive things, and checking out books like The Conscious Parent. And as a parent, healing your own inner child. We sometimes accidentally recreate some of the stuff from our own childhood as a way to master it and grow from it. I think family and individual therapy can be helpful with the right person, but always remembering that you can't fix your kid. You can't make them be okay. All right, you asked. Let's go there. Most, if not all, therapists are drawn to this field because of some of their own pain. And that is why it is so important for us to do our own work. And as a therapist, one of the biggest things I can do is remember that I'm not a therapist to my family. The same way I can't fix my clients, all I do is support and encourage. One of the best things about the therapeutic relationship is that I don't know this other person in an intimate way, meaning we're not friends outside of session. There isn't this dual relationship. With our family and friends, we may see things. And the way that I navigate this is I might gently say, hey, you might want to try therapy. I might send them some resources, but it is their life. And then I set boundaries. With my own family, I've set some very firm boundaries to break generational trauma. All right, you asked. So with the hero role, one of the hardest things is often disappointing someone, not living up to someone else's expectations, or not being able to fix someone. Because they might have survived some very difficult things within family because of their ability to be perfect. That is and always was unsustainable. Within healthy relationships, within healthy friendships, you get to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. They don't expect you to fix their problems. And within healthy relationships, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have emotions. You don't have to be the strong one. Undoing all those things, that's Be sure to check out my series on emotional boundaries and people pleasing.